All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. It is so good to have you. Today is Friday, June 18th, 2021, and this is your PTE News Break. I'm your host, PTE, and this is the time of week where we just get together and catch up on all the major news events of the week. Keeps us honest, keeps us current and modern, I guess. Welcome, everybody. So, before I show the first story, I do want to do a sensitivity warning. And I'm kind of debating whether or not I even need to do these. It's like I live in America. People are getting crazy. People have been crazy. Do I really even need to do a sensitivity warning? Or should it just be kind of like a you already know what it is type situation? I don't know, weighing that out, but I do think it's good to always give people a heads up when they're about to receive something really negative. Okay. So for our first story, it has a very tragic ending. And again, typically I wouldn't share these with you, but I think it's important because I think it really shows you where our society is and our society's current mental state. So many of you probably heard about this story. Very, very sad and very tragic. So, a cashier was killed in a grocery store triple shooting, and she was remembered as being real sweet. It was actually all over a mask dispute. So, it says a triple shooting and the murder of a cashier inside a grocery store has one community grieving and asking why it had to happen. All day Tuesday, customers of the Big Bear grocery store along Candler Road in DeKalb County stopped by to leave gifts in memory of Laquita Willis, the cashier who was killed there on Monday. There was also a poster board where people were leaving loving messages. Let's read about what actually happened, okay? So everyone's very, very upset for what happened to this young lady. Let's see here. It says, Willis was working in the store Monday afternoon when police say just after 1 p.m., Victor Lee Tucker Jr. was in line waiting to buy some items. That's when the two of them started arguing when Tucker refused to put on a mask, which is store policy. Agents with the Bureau of Investigation said Tucker left the store without buying the items, then came back with a gun and shot Willis. A security guard who was also a DeKalb County deputy pulled out his gun and shot Tucker. That's when Tucker shot back and hit the security guard twice. Both men survived and are recovering from their injuries. Okay, so that's what happened. Long story short, she was at work at this store here. The criminal who we're going to look at here in a second, I guess I have to say alleged, even though whatever. The alleged criminal who we're going to take a look at here in a second, comes in. She asks him to put his mask on. It sets him off. And his solution to that was to go out to his car, get a gun, come back and kill her. So it upsets me for a variety of different reasons. Let's take a look at him really quick. Not to give him shine, but I just want you all to see who did this to this girl. Because if you hadn't heard about the story, you might already have an image in your mind, right? You might think you already know who did this to this girl. Let's take a look at who actually did this to her. So this is the alleged, I have to say alleged until he's convicted. This is the alleged criminal, murderer, who killed this woman who is at her job, trying to do her job over a mask dispute. Okay, let's read a little bit about this lowlife. Let's make this a little bit bigger. It says, a dispute over a face mask at a Georgia grocery store led to a store cashier being shot dead, along with the suspect and a deputy wounded, according to reports. So he's still alive, the lowlife. Victor Lee Tucker Jr., 30, of Palmetto, Georgia, was checking out Monday just past noon when he got into an argument over refusing to wear a mask with a female cashier at Big Bear Supermarket in Decatur. Tucker walked out without buying anything, but immediately returned, pulling out a handgun and allegedly shooting the cashier, since identified as 41-year-old Laquita Willis. She was rushed to an area hospital where she was pronounced dead. Okay. And then it goes into a little bit of how he got into a gun exchange with the off duty deputy. And thank God, right? Thank God the deputy was there, right? Because what if the deputy hadn't been there? This lowlife might have decided that he was just going to go ahead and just kill everybody in the store over a mask, you guys. So I don't remember which live stream it was, or even which channel. It might have been my other channel, where I said that people these days are willing to throw away everything. They're willing to throw away their whole lives over petty stuff. So whatever stream it was on, it was the one where I was saying that these days, just take the L. Take the L, take the loss. If you lost the argument, if you lost the race, just take the L and go home safely. Because people like this are walking around. And apparently, this guy has like a crazy long rap sheet. I'm trying to see if this is the article. So this is here at work, her at work, I mean. Like, how sad. Like, I can't even. We live in a society where you can't even ask people to follow simple rules anymore. It's a wonder that they're able to follow the laws of the road. It's a wonder that they haven't started just running red lights, running stop signs. You know what I mean? Like, it's a wonder that we're able to hold together any thread of civilization at all. But where is it? Where it's talking? Here it is. A regard of his prior rap sheet included him having a series of prior arrests, including driving under the influence of drugs. Other previous arrests include family domestic battery, cruelty to children, along with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. So now, because he didn't learn from all that, and because the courts let him out, he's facing charges of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. Okay? So this is where we are, guys. This is, again, also kind of why I stopped doing the tantrum files, because 1, it was just getting ridiculous, but 2, I could see that it was escalating to a point where it just simply was not funny anymore. It was never funny to begin with, but it was meant to kind of make a mockery of this particular behavior. Like, look at yourselves. You know what I mean? But it went from, flipping over grocery store aisles and, tearing everything off of a display, to punching old men in the jaw, to now killing a cashier because she asked you to pull your mask up, because she's exposed to so many different people every single day coming in and out of the store. Some who have never worn a mask, some who are carriers, some who aren't, some who are vaccinated, some who aren't. So she's exposed to it all. She's just trying not to be exposed to him. And because she asked him to do this, he goes, gets a gun and kills her. Now, my recommendation to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and everybody else involved would be to check his social media. Get his phone. If he has a computer, get any kind of little computer that he has, run his IP address, and check his social media and see who's been influencing this guy. Because this is a Black man who killed a Black woman over a mask. So I would really like for you to check his social media and see who he has been listening to, who's been influencing him, what communities is he a part of, what types of comments has he been leaving here, there, and everywhere all over the internet. Check his social media. I'm telling you that they're turning them into terrorists. They are actually turning them into terrorists. Okay? We've been touching on this. We're going to touch on it more, but rest in peace, Laquita. I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm sorry this happened to you at work. And I'm really, really sorry that this low-life scumbag couldn't follow simple instructions and just put on a mask, and he felt the need to take your whole life over that. So I'm really sorry. It really bothers me very deeply. And I won't be forgetting about this. So I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. This happened, and this kind of sort of happened kind of where I live, kind of. I don't live in Decatur, but I can get to Decatur probably faster than you can, unless you live in Georgia or you live in Decatur. I don't live in Decatur, but I can be in Decatur in less than an hour. Can you? So it's kind of close to home, if you will. So it's bothersome. It's scary. Ladies, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I want you to get armed. I'm not playing with you anymore, especially if you live in Georgia. It is very, very easy to obtain what you need. I might do a stream on that. I just have to figure out how to do it without setting off baby algo. Although they have whole entire channels devoted to firearms. So I don't see why I couldn't do a stream telling women how to get a firearm, especially if you live in a red state. It's pretty simple though. All you have to do is go online, select your firearm. They're not going to ship it to your house because that's just crazy. So they're going to ship it to an arms dealer of your choosing. You get to pick, who you want to go pick it up from. Then you go and you have to pay a little fee. They make you fill out a form. I'm sure some dealers still have paper forms. Others are using a digital form, just asking you about who you are, your background, where you're from, what you're going through. You know what I mean? Questions you would kind of want them to ask. Yeah. So you fill that out. And then the dealer shows you your item. You inspect it as if you know what you're looking for, but you inspect it and say, yeah, it looks good to me. They put it back in its case. They give it to, well, they don't give it to you. They walk you to the front of the store, depending on where you go. They hand it to you, and that's literally it. So we'll talk more about that another day, another day, another day. Let's move on. Okay. Y'all, I keep telling y'all, and I'm just going to repeat myself. If you are a person who has a very large digital presence, meaning you have documents, books, articles, recipes, whatever, saved online, emails, cherished emails, maybe from possibly friends or family who are no longer with us, and you want to keep those emails forever, things like that. You need to get yourself a hard drive, an external hard drive, and you need to back up everything. Okay. Back up everything, everything. Because earlier this week, Southwest Airlines had to ground its flights for 3 days, I believe. The first day was for one reason, but it was all tech related. The second day, yeah. Well, we'll read it in a second. But basically, the first day it was because their weather monitors were not working. The second day, I'm not sure what it was, and then the third day, I'm not sure. So maybe the article will tell us. But basically, people were just like sitting around at airports by the thousands because Southwest canceled their flights over glitches, tech glitches. Okay, tech glitches. So let's take a look. Southwest Airlines grounds its entire fleet amid a giant computer outage. All right. Southwest grounded its flights across the country Tuesday for the second time in less than 24 hours amid reports of nationwide computer issues. Air travelers took to Twitter by the thousands with reports of what airline staff reportedly told them was a computer system outage. Hours after intermittent performance issues. Let me read that again. I'm sorry. Air travelers took to Twitter by the thousands with reports of what airline staff reportedly told them was a computer system outage, hours after intermittent performance issues with a third-party weather app forced a similar group stop Monday night. So Monday night, it was the weather app. Tuesday, it was performance issues. We are aware of system issues and are working quickly to resolve. We will share more info soon. Then it says the operations resumed shortly before 4 p.m. The carrier attributed Tuesday's meltdown to intermittent performance issues with network connectivity and said it had proactively canceled about 500 flights because of the disruption. We're working with those customers to get them to their destinations as quickly as possible. The shutdown came after a glitch Monday night prevented transmission of weather information that is required to safely operate our aircraft. It is not immediately clear whether the two incidents were related, okay? So when I say flight is tenuous, look at all these people. Oh my God. Look at that. That looks like a nightmare to me. That's an actual waking nightmare to me. Like if you want to melt me down real quick, see, this is why I say, see, if you have a fiance, you all need to be in this situation right here, the two of you, before you call yourself marrying anybody, before you book any venues, buy any dresses, buy any rings, all that. The two of you need to be stuck in a situation like this, because this is a waking nightmare for me. And I need my husband or future husband to know that I would melt down in a situation like this. And he needs to know that, you know, because he needs to know if he's the type of man who can handle that. Like, I'm not the meltdown, jump over the counter type meltdown. I'm like the literally start crying. I'm the start crying in the middle of the airport meltdown. That's the type of meltdown that I have, and he needs to know that. Okay? But what I would really want in a situation like this is a seat. And they actually sell them, y'all. I don't know what they're called, but they basically fold up. They're portable, and you can kind of make yourself a little chair anywhere that you go. So all these people could be seated right now, you know? Or they need to start designing luggage that can like double as a chair. Because I mean, that at minimum, that would reduce my meltdown. It's one thing to melt down when you're standing up. It's a whole nother thing to have a meltdown when you're seated. Because at least I'm seated. You know what I mean? But to be standing in this situation, no. Can't go to the bathroom real quick? No. Mm-mm. So anyway, like I was saying earlier, back up your stuff. Get a 2 terabyte. I think it's terabyte. It's either Tera or Tetra. Get a 2 terabyte, 2 tetrabyte external hard drive and back up all your stuff, guys. I'm so serious. I don't know why I feel this so strongly, but I do. Okay. So the airlines were not the only ones hit this week. Airlines, banks, and other companies across the world were hit in an outage. Let's see, when did it happen? It was updated on the 17th, Thursday. Okay. So several major companies, financial institutions, and airlines from the US to Australia and Hong Kong suffered brief online outages Thursday due to a third-party IT provider. Okay. So Southwest was not the only ones going through it this week. So maybe this is where this strong sense of dread is coming from. Like, banks are getting hit with outages, airlines, meat packing processing companies, oil facilities. Like, man, make a copy is all I'm saying. It says the outage appeared to affect each company's website and mobile applications. Internet monitoring websites, including Thousand Eyes and Down Detector, show disruptions across the world. Okay. So we're not going to read the rest of that. I just wanted y'all to know that this was going on. Maybe if you had any issues this week with one of your banks or something like that, they've been having outages, y'all. Get into the habit of downloading like your statements just to have proof is all I'm saying. You want proof of how much money was there at one point in time. Okay. And speaking of money and banks and things of that nature, this actually happened a couple weeks ago. I just missed it and I forgot to tell y'all about it. But Ally Bank is the first bank to end overdraft fees. And they are the first large US bank to do so. And I happen to have Ally. I am an Ally Bank customer. And I'm going to tell you a story in a minute. Okay. Oh, there was a power outage in Las Vegas too. See what I mean? Okay, it stopped. Thought I heard like shooting. But anyway, I didn't know about the power outage in Vegas. But yeah, so Ally announced Wednesday, which was a couple Wednesdays ago, that it is ending its overdraft fees entirely on all of its bank products, becoming the first large US bank to end overdraft fees across its entire business. It's a major move by Ally, one of the nation's largest banks, and for the industry, which has been reliant on overdraft fees for decades to boost profits, often at the expense of poorer Americans who can't afford to pay such fees in the first place. Critics of the practice often cite what they call the $38 cup of coffee, where a bank customer uses a debit card to buy a coffee, overdrafts, and ends up paying a $35 fee on top of the $3 drink. Don't get me started. Oh my God. Focus PTE. In its announcement, Detroit-based Ally cited specifically the impact that overdraft fees have on Black and Latino households, which are historically poorer than their white counterparts and are hit with overdraft fees more often. I hadn't read this yet, didn't know this, Ally. I like this. It's also a common reason why Black and Latino households choose to be unbanked, that is, being without a bank account, in order to avoid the fees that often come with these accounts. Overdraft fees can be a major cause of anxiety. It became clear to us that the best way to relieve that anxiety was to eliminate those fees, okay? And it says the announcement affects roughly 3.6 million checking, savings, and money market accounts. All right. So I'm not going to read the rest. If anyone's interested, I'll link it later. But I want to tell you a story about this. So I've had Ally for a couple years now. Really, really liked them. Anyone who follows me on Twitter knows about this already. But they created this thing called buckets. And the concept of buckets was once per month, they take a set dollar amount that you set. So it could be $5, $10, $100, whatever you choose. And it just automatically drafts out of your checking account into a savings account of your choice into one of these buckets, right? Sounds like a great idea, right? Automatic savings, you don't have to think about it. It just happens in the background, right? So I set it up. I loved it. I thought the idea was really, really cute because you can set them up and name them different things. So I had one named like auto expenses. I had one named like veterinary expenses, things like that, right? So anyway, and I have more than one account with them. So, and that matters, and I'm going to tell you why. I do most of my transacting out of one account. I have them separated by a purpose and reason. And I do most of my spending out of this one account, but I had set my buckets up on like two other accounts that I don't use very often. So because I don't use them that much, sometimes there's not any money in there, but I'm not paying attention because the account that I use the most has money in it. So I'm not thinking about this other stuff. So anyway, long story short, the bucket goes to draft its, say, $5, right? And there's not $5 there to cover the draft. So they will take the $5 anyway, then charge you an overdraft fee. Now understand what I'm saying to you. They were charging us an overdraft fee to move money from your checking account to your savings account, not somebody else's. They weren't paying a bill for you. They were moving the money from your checking account to your savings account. And if you didn't have the money to cover the move from your checking account to your savings account, they charged you a $35 overdraft fee. And I lost my shit. I lost it. So I would like to think that I contributed to this in some way because I was very public about it. And I do think it's still on my Twitter. So, yeah, I was very upset about that. I'm like, it felt like a setup. It felt like, we're going to forget about these buckets. That sometimes we don't always have the money there or it's not there on time or whatever. And then you turn around and charge us an overdraft fee for moving money between our own accounts. Are you out of your mind? They're lucky I didn't have the time to close my accounts back then because I was furious. I looked into Chime and I looked into all kinds of other little banks because I hate traditional banks. I hate doing business with them, can't stand it. So I like things like Ally. So anyway, I didn't close the accounts simply because I didn't have time. And then they turned around and did this. So it's kind of making me look at you in a different light, Ally. I like this. I like that. And in celebration of all things Black, Juneteenth officially becomes a federal holiday, which is celebrating the end of slavery in the United States. So this is a holiday that has been celebrated unofficially for many years in the Black community, but President Joe Biden just signed it into law, and a lot of companies are actually honoring it and giving all of their employees time off, you guys. So, I guess we have to take progress where we get it, right? We have to celebrate it where we can. It says the U.S. will officially recognize Juneteenth, which commemorates the end of slavery in America, as a federal holiday after Joe Biden signed a bill into law on Thursday. At a jubilant White House ceremony, the president emphasized the need for the U.S. to reckon with its history, even when that history is shameful. Great nations don't ignore their most painful moments. Great nations don't walk away. We come to terms with the mistakes we made, and remembering those moments, we begin to heal and grow stronger. Just before signing the bill, Biden added, "I've only been president for several months, but I think this will go down for me as one of the greatest honors I will have as president." Kamala Harris, also in attendance, reflected on the historic nature of the day and the presence of Black lawmakers who worked diligently to advance the bill. Harris, who is the first Black woman to serve as vice president, told those at the White House for the bill signing, "We are gathered here in a house built by enslaved people. We are footsteps away from where President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and we're here to witness President Joe Biden establish Juneteenth as a national holiday. We've come far and we have far to go, but today is a day of celebration." All right? So that's awesome. That's great. I think that's really cool. It's nice to have something outside of Black History Month, right? Hopefully this doesn't get commercialized, but I'm sure it will, as everything does. The cards, the shirts, the knickknacks, the trinkets, the stickers, the magnets, all that. But hey, I mean, we commercialize everything else, right? So we might as well do this too. And, maybe people can make some money. People within the community could be a great, great thing. So is that Warnock? Warnock, boy, I see you back there. I see you back there. Hey, Pastor, how you doing? Boy, I almost missed old Warnock back there. I almost missed Ralph. There's Ralph Warnock, you guys, one of our Georgia State representatives. I see you back there. They might. The chat says, "I wonder if my company will give us that day off." They might, because it just happened this week. A lot of companies didn't have time to react, but some did. And actually, a lot of companies gave their employees today off because Juneteenth is tomorrow. So they gave their employees today. So, maybe that'll make the racists happy. They get a day off. Might make them, think differently. What you think? Or you think they'll double down and show up to work anyway? Nah, we don't celebrate that. We're mad about it. We fought hard to keep that in place. All right. In more celebrity news, LaLa Anthony files for divorce from Carmelo. Now, a lot of my international viewers will not know who this is, and that's okay. But a lot of my United States viewers know exactly who these people are, and it's kind of shocking. They've been together a long time. And they're one of the couples I think everyone maybe thought was going to go the distance. I really don't follow them like that. But they've been together so long, I just assume. I have this really bad habit of thinking that if something has been going on for a while, it'll just keep going. So like if a couple has been married for 20 years, my mind goes, well, you've been married for 20 years, so why wouldn't you be married for 30? It's just the way my brain works, but I'm working on it and I'm aware of it. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the chat. It's good to have you. It says LaLa and Carmelo Anthony's marriage have been through a separation, a reconciliation, and years of speculation, but now they've amicably decided to officially call it quits. LaLa filed divorce docs Thursday in New York, 11 years after tying the knot with the NBA star, and cited irreconcilable differences. Sources close to the former couple tell TMZ they've been separated for a while, but remain friends. And as always, after 16 years together, wait, what? They've been separated for a while, but remain friends, as always, after 16 years together, and everything about the divorce is amicable. Okay. We're told they both wanted to take time to ensure a private and smooth transition in their relationship for their 14-year-old son, Kyan, who's always their top priority, and they remain fully aligned as parenting partners, okay? Now, word on the street, and this is all alleged, and I'm citing my source, which is Media Takeout. According to Media Takeout, he had a side chick who just gave birth to twins. Now, that's alleged. I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, makes perfect sense why she just went ahead and pulled the plug. Okay. So, yeah. So, LaLa and Carmelo are calling it quits. I guess nothing is necessarily guaranteed, but I think a lot of times what happens is they meet when they're young, right? But then the woman like grows up, but they kind of stay like kids forever. That's a different show, possibly even a different series. But I feel like what happens is the women grow up and mature and like improve upon their lives, and the men just stay at the same age that the women met them at. That's what I think. That's what I think is possible. Different show. So let's move on. In Florida Crazies, actually, I don't think this is. It all depends on the spirit in which this bill was created. I don't know much more about this other than this article, but a Florida governor has signed into law a bill requiring K through 12 public schools to hold a moment of silence each day. Bash, I can't say your name. Basha Texture, don't you start. Don't you start up. You're going to have me laughing. That phrase, that quote makes me laugh at random times throughout the day. Random times throughout the day. Okay. Don't you start. Don't you start me up. So in Florida, all K through 12 public schools will hold a moment of silence at the start of the day, starting next school year, according to a bill signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis. Ron just doesn't stop. You see how I'm laughing still? According to the law, which was HB 529 in the Florida legislature, principals of each public school shall require teachers in first period classrooms in all first period, sorry, in all grades to set aside at least 1 minute, but not more than 2 minutes daily for the moment of silence. Teachers may not make suggestions as to the nature of any reflection that a student may engage in during the moment of silence. A period of silent prayer or meditation was optional for school districts in the state prior to the new law. It's important to be able to provide each student the ability every day to reflect and be able to pray as they see fit. See, that's what I knew it. I knew that was the spirit. The Republican governor said before signing the bill at the Shul of Bal Harbor in Surfside, Florida. The idea that you can just push God out of every institution and be successful, I'm sorry, our founding fathers did not believe that. Okay, yeah, I knew this was just a way to get them to have prayer back in schools. And here's the thing, guys, I pray every day. You know, born and raised in the church for the most part, kind of fell away, but still have faith, still spiritual. So it's not that I'm against prayer in schools. It's that these people are not going to be satisfied until they get 1950s America back. That's the issue. The issue is they're not going to be satisfied until the women are back home in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant, and the men are the only one in the workforce. That's the world that they want back. This is part of that. Now, if he had the maturity to just simply say, our world is in crisis right now, and many kids may not even have a moment anywhere in their lives to just sit still for 2 seconds. So this is our way of reflecting. If you pray during this time, great. If you meditate, great. If you blank out, great. If you make your grocery list, great. If you're thinking about your exam and the test you're about to take, do that. But for 2 minutes, we're just not going to do anything. Just to try to come back together as humans, like just to try to be human again, kind of, sort of. But no, he had to go throw religion in it, of course. They're just not going to be satisfied until they get this country back the way they want it. And things like that make me so grateful. I don't have children. It's not that I didn't want kids, and it's not that I still can't have children. I'm just grateful that I don't have children that live in a world that is constantly wrestling to pull them backwards, to pull us backward instead of progressing us and pushing us forward into the intelligent species that we are. We are an intelligent species. These people don't want us to be intelligent in any meaningful way. They always want to drag it back to borderline prehistoric. And you might get your wish if you keep it up, but not in the way that you think. But I'm just grateful that I don't have to wrestle with someone who wants to give my child the same experience that I had coming through school. Like, I don't want my kid to have the same experience I had. I want my kid's school experience to be 10 times better. And it should be, because when I came through school, at least when we started, we didn't have computers and stuff. The internet and computers and all that came around, probably like the start of middle school, I think, is when they, yeah, right around the start of middle school is when they started to get the computers and all that. So in other words, it wasn't present and established when I started school. Like when I started kindergarten, they did not have the internet in schools. They barely had computers. Okay. So when I have kids, all that stuff is established already. Why are they getting the same experience, the same school experience that I got when I came through school? That's not acceptable to me. And it's because of people like this. So I'm grateful that I don't have to wrestle with you guys. I'm so glad. Like it just seems like the most unnecessary thing to do. Let's keep going. In crime news, welcome to everybody in the chat. Yeah, and you need at least 10 minutes to reach an altered state of consciousness anyway. Thank you. Thank you, vegan, because that's true. What is 2 minutes going to do? Nothing. But it's the symbolic thing, like, we finally got prayer back in schools. And again, I'm not against prayer in school, guys. I'm not. I'm really not. Just like I said at the start of that segment, it's the spirit of the law. What was the spirit of the law behind it? And I knew that's what it was. Had to be. And he just signed a bill into law requiring like gender checks or something to play on sports. That's real touchy. I'm not going to get into that, but these people worry about the wrong thing. That's one reason I can never be a Republican. They worry about all the wrong things. And just to be clear, I would get kicked out of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Both of y'all would kick me out eventually. But I couldn't be a Republican because y'all just worry about the wrong things. It tells me that your life has never been difficult. You can tell your life has never been challenging in any meaningful way. Let's move on, guys. In crime news, says entire Portland police crowd control unit resigns after an officer was indicted on a protest charge. The team consisted of approximately 50 officers, members of a specialized Portland, Oregon police unit that deals with crowd control, have resigned from the assignment en masse a day after a fellow officer was indicted on an assault charge stemming from alleged illegal use of force during a protest last year. The Portland Police Bureau's Rapid Response Team, which is primarily responsible for providing public safety at crowd events, consisted of approximately 50 officers, all of whom resigned Wednesday. The assignment is voluntary, and the officers will remain on the force and continue their regular assignments. The mass resignation comes a day after a grand jury indicted Portland Police Bureau officer Corey Budworth on one count of fourth-degree assault, a misdemeanor, for what prosecutors allege was an excessive and unlawful use of force during a protest in August 2020. Budworth, who at the time was on the Bureau's rapid response team, is accused of striking a woman in the head with a baton during an August 18, 2020 demonstration outside the Multnomah building. The indictment marks the first time a Portland police officer has faced prosecution for striking or firing at someone during a protest. All right. So I'm not going to read the rest of this, but I like it. I know that some of you will say, oh, what cowards? Oh, they can't be accountable. Oh, they can't stand up, and hold, when one of theirs does something wrong, then they all quit. What punks, what crybabies, what, whatever. It's not how I see it at all. And again, I've explained this double bind before from the concept or from the perspective of having been a teacher before. And the double bind is this: do your job. And after you do your job, get in trouble for doing your job, basically. So the double bind with teaching is teach the kids. So you teach the kids, and then it's like, well, not like that. We didn't want you to teach them like that. It's like, but did they learn? You know what I mean? Kind of situation. It's a double bind. It's teach the kids responsibility. Then when you discipline them, you get in trouble. You try to teach the kid responsibility and accountability. You kick them out of the classroom. The office sends them back. So it's kind of like, I don't know the circumstances of this particular case. I don't know how hard he hit her. I don't know. I don't know if there's video. I don't know. If he deserves to have that charge, then he deserves to have that charge, period. And it is possible that they are acting, in a certain manner that some would say is cowardly or whatever. But it's also possible that he was doing his job and got in trouble for doing his job. So they all quit and basically said, you're not going to punish us for doing what you hired us to do. This is what you hired us to do. This is crowd control. So now we're getting charges brought up on us for crowd control. And we are literally the crowd control unit. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like they want crowd control with gentle words and gentle, you know what I mean? So without regard to where you stand on this, I love the solidarity. Even if these weren't cops, if this was another group of people, I love the solidarity, and I love standing up for your coworker and your peer. They want us to be a family so bad. They want us to be a team so bad. But typically on the job, more often than not, people are alone, fighting by themselves. So it's very nice to see some solidarity for once. It really is. I'll keep an eye on this. Again, I don't know the details. He could be dead wrong. And if he's dead wrong, then he needs to face the consequences of that. He does. But I understand that double bind. Boy, do I understand that double bind. Let me see something. 1 second, you guys. I just want to pull up something else. Oh, I don't have it. Oh, no. That's okay. I'll just do this. Welcome, everybody. How is everyone? While I'm pulling this up. This is going to be a little bit long, so I'm pulling up a commercial low-key. But welcome to the show. I guess I'll do a little plug here. Depending on how long this news break goes, I'm actually planning on doing a show on a deeper PTE, either later on tonight or tomorrow. It all depends. Let me see. Stop thinking, stop talking. Let's see. Yes, here it is. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay. All right. And that's going to play, and I don't want it to. All right. Boom. All right. Why don't we do this real quick? I'm going to run this quick commercial, and then I'll come back with the rest of the news break. Looking to expand your book collection but not sure where to start? With everything going on this past year, why not get away in the prophetic love story of Jazzman, written by V. Prophetess Hazlett? Based on the lovely setting of Rhinebeck, New York, Jazzman is a love story that proves lasting love still exists. Pick up your paperback or Kindle copy today, link in the description box below. All right. Shout out to that sponsor. Thank you so much. Please support independent authors, and we greatly appreciate your support. So, and another story coming out of Georgia, coming out of the Atlanta area. I think this is so interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. So, an Atlanta community moves to separate from the city over the crime spike. People have had enough. And Atlanta has been out of control, you guys. That first story that we did in this news break was an Atlanta-based story. So I'm sure many of you have heard of Buckhead. If you're not from around here, if you are, of course you know Buckhead. Well, Buckhead is trying to become its own city. A community in Atlanta has decided to separate. Why is this not working? Hold on. There we go. Separate from the city and create its own police force. Bill White, the Buckhead City Community CEO, said the decision comes as crime in Atlanta has skyrocketed and police are not being properly funded. White told Bill Hemmer on America's Newsroom that he estimates nearly 80% of his community will vote in favor of the separation. We have two bills in the Georgia legislature dropping in January to decide this referendum on the ballot. We filed our divorce papers at the city of Atlanta, and our divorce is final. White said Atlanta Mayor Keisha Bottom's policies have emboldened criminals and let the Atlanta Police Department down. They feel demoralized, underpaid, and underrecognized. They're basically being told not to fight crime in the way that they would like to. Police statistics show murders in Atlanta are up 63% year to date compared to 2020 as of May 29th. 41-year-old Andrew Worrell was shot twice on a recent Saturday at 8:35 a.m. while walking through his own neighborhood. That was not an isolated incident. Two other joggers in the area are being reported as being shot around the same time. We're going to get a hold of it here in Buckhead, White said. The new community, Buckhead City, will have its own law enforcement system to focus on getting crime rates down. We'll have our own cohort. We'll have our own judge, our own jail, and we are going to put the smackdown on this crime once and for all here because the people of Buckhead have had enough. And it says White is confident the separation will offer Buckhead the ability to properly address crime while also benefiting Atlanta. A new Buckhead City will do a much better job and will work very well with Atlanta. We're going to help Atlanta. We're going to be two strong cities, prosperous and safe, we pray. Okay, now let me actually do this. I want to show y'all where Buckhead sits in relation to Atlanta. So let me do that real quick. Welcome to the show, everybody. Let me pull that up for you real quick because basically it's basically smack dab in the middle. Buckhead, Atlanta. Let's see, maps. Okay, let's see here. Okay. So, dang, I wish it was a different color. Can I change this? All right, let me show you. So, Buckhead is like right, you see how it's kind of like in the upper center of Atlanta. So this is Atlanta. Here's the aquarium. Here's Six Flags. And it's like in the upper center part of Atlanta. So it's kind of like it would be a city buried within the city, like kind of smack dab in the middle, basically, is where it would be. So I think that's interesting. I don't think it's going to work. And I'll tell you why here in a second, why I don't think it's going to work. And it also kind of speaks to, and I don't know the history on this, so somebody would have to correct me, but this is kind of the end result of gentrification in a way. You cannot just put a brand new $500,000, multi-million-dollar communities in the middle of deep poverty and expect it to work. Like it works temporarily, sure. Yeah, sure. You start to buy people out, you start to nudge them out, you raise their rent sky high to where they can't afford it anymore. They start moving out, right? Perfect. Plan works exactly how you wanted it, right? The issue is you put it smack dab in the middle of people who were impoverished. You understand? It kills me when I see some folks jogging around different neighborhoods. I'm like, girl, do you know where you are? Do you know where you are? Okay. But they do it confidently. You know what I mean? This is the end result of gentrification, but let me tell you why it's not going to work. So their solution is to break off into their own separate city, to form their own police force, their own jail, their own, what else did they say? Their own court, judge, jail, police force, everything, right? The issue with this approach, while very noble, is you cannot predict crime. You can sometimes predict crime, like if you're monitoring and you got people bugged and all that, you know, that you see on the movies. But by and large, you don't know what somebody's going to wake up in the morning and do one day. You don't. A lot of these crimes seem very, very random that have been happening lately. So unless the cop is standing right there waiting for you to do it, kind of like they did in that one movie where they had precogs. I don't remember what movie that was, but they had people who were precognitive. And basically they would predict a crime and law enforcement would go to stop that crime before it happened. And I think the whole point of that movie was, is that ethical? Is it ethical to arrest somebody for a crime they were about to commit if they haven't committed it yet? Minority Report. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yep. Minority Report. And was that the whole point of the movie? Is it ethical to arrest somebody if they haven't actually done it yet? Even though they set it all up, they're getting ready to do it, getting ready to pull the trigger, but they have not pulled it yet. Is it legal to arrest them before they've actually done it? So I bring that up to kind of illustrate my point, which is you can have all of these things, your own court, your own judge, your own cops. Unless these cops know for a fact what people are about to do, it's not going to make a difference. Your issue is mental. It's in the mind. Like it's not necessarily the presence of police that's changing anything. It might deter a little bit. I mean, try it. I'm not saying don't try it, but what you're dealing with are mental problems. You have to find a way to reach people's minds. That's the only way you're ever going to change it. You're not going to change it by building new cities, getting your own cop courts. You have to get into the mind somehow. That's the part that y'all are missing. Okay? So, speaking of mind and crimes and all this and that, honey, let's talk about this guy. And I'm not going to go heavy into his particular story because we're going to cover him separate. We're actually going to cover him separately. This guy made the news this week because he is representing himself in a double murder case where he is the accused and they got an ad blocker, where he is the accused and he murdered his girlfriend. Sorry, sensitivity warning. He murdered his girlfriend and his daughter, tried to kill his son, didn't work. And he attempted to represent himself on the stand this week. So we're not actually going to go deep into it because then I'd basically be doing that story. But this is going to be another installment of You Must Believe in the Boogeyman. But what I did do is I pulled up his picture and we're going to listen to him representing himself so as to try and avoid the copyright strike. Let's take a listen to Mr. O'Neill attempt to defend himself on the stand this week.
I'm pleading not guilty to the charges of premeditated murder. I want you to know the truth. And it might sound far-fetched, but I guarantee you, we're going to see who the liars are before it's all said and done. Mark my words.
There is a public defender on standby if he does change his mind. He faces the death penalty if convicted. We're going to see updates here on air or on.
There's more, and there's better audio where he's like screaming. I'm determined to find it now. Sorry, I have to find it. Where what did he keep screaming over and over again? Ronnie O'Neill, opening statements. He kept screaming something over and over again. Let's see. Yeah. Here we go. Let's try this one. It's going to run an ad. Okay with the ads. So it's like wild, you guys. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, here we go. All right, here he goes. He's starting.
The evidence is going to show that we are under some of the most vicious
What happened? Why did it go down so quiet?
Fabricating fictitious government you ever seen.
Okay. So listen, we're not going to listen to all this because, again, I'm doing a separate show on this. Once again, FBI, Florida Bureau of Investigation, y'all need to check his social media because his opening statement was, "We are under one of the most lying, fictitious governments we've ever seen. This is a man attempting to defend himself against the murder of his girlfriend and his daughter and the attempted murder of his son." Okay? So we have to talk about this, you guys. Because when I look at the picture of his girlfriend, I'm just thinking to myself, if she had a friend like me, she might be alive today. Because I never would have even let her date him. He's a madman. You can tell that. You can tell by how he's conducting himself right now. But I'm sure she saw something in him. I'm sure she did. I have no doubt she saw something in him and gave him multiple chances and wanted to forgive him over and over and over and over again. Okay? So we have to discuss this. You must believe in the boogeyman. Don't believe this propaganda that's out here. The boogeyman comes in all shapes, sizes, and most important, colors. Okay? All of them. And if you fool yourself into believing there's only one set of boogeymen, you're going to get got. Let's take a look at this. We talked about this briefly last week, but I didn't have the article. The FDA told Johnson & Johnson to throw away 60 million doses at a plant because the plant was troubled and the doses could not be used, okay? This came out June 11th. Federal regulators have told Johnson & Johnson that about 60 million doses of its CB vaccine, this stream is not monetized anyway, so I can say it, produced at a troubled Baltimore factory cannot be used because of possible contamination, according to people familiar with the situation. The FDA plans to allow about 10 million doses to be distributed in the U.S. or sent to other countries, but with a warning that regulators cannot guarantee that Emergent Biosolutions, the company that operates the plant, followed good manufacturing practices. The agency has not yet decided whether Emergent can reopen the factory, which has been closed for 2 months because of regulatory concerns. The Johnson & Johnson doses administered in the U.S. so far were manufactured at the plant in the Netherlands, not by Emergent. So the United States got foreign vaccines, and then the other countries are getting U.S. vaccines. Like, okay, okie dokie. For weeks, the FDA had been trying to figure out what to do with at least 170 million doses of the vaccine that were left in limbo after the discovery of a major production mishap involving 2 vaccines manufactured at the Baltimore factory. Okay. More than 100 million doses of J&J and at least 70 million doses of AZ were put on hold after Emergent discovered in March that its workers had contaminated a batch of J&J's vaccine with a key ingredient used to produce AZs. So they mixed them up. They got confused, I guess, in the lab. So yeah. So these things are quite tedious and require the highest degree of fidelity. And never mind, that's for my other channel. Let's keep going. Just wanted y'all to know they had to throw away 60 million doses of a vaccine. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that guy. Because I think the issue is so many women, especially so many Black women, but so many women, period. We have this spirit of forgiveness and long suffering that often gets us in trouble. It really does. But I'll save that for another show. Jeff Bezos is going to the moon, y'all. I'm just kidding. He's not going to the moon. He is going on some like space flight. And a lot of people don't want him to go because they're like, Jeff, what if this doesn't work out, man? Like, they're like, Jeff, bro, You're the only Jeff Bezos there is. Like, you cannot go up. Blue Origin auctions seat on first space flight with Jeff Bezos for $28 million. Jeff Bezos' space venture Blue Origin auctioned off a seat Saturday on its first crewed space flight scheduled for July 20th. Alexis. The winning bidder will fly to the edge of space with the Amazon founder and his brother Mark on Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket. New Shepard, child. A rocket that carries a capsule to an altitude of over 340,000 feet has flown more than a dozen successful test flights without passengers. Okay. Jeff Bezos' space venture. Oh, wait. Sorry, that we just read the summary. Let's see if there's anything else to pull out of this. It's designed to carry up to 6 people and flies autonomously without needing a pilot. The capsule. Wait a minute. So this thing doesn't have a pilot. So y'all are going to go up here to the edge of space with no pilot. And you're taking, is he the richest or the second richest man on the planet up there with you? And someone in the chat, I won't call you out, said, good, get the hell out of here. Between that quote earlier and that, I don't think I can focus. I don't think I can do this. So he's going to be taken off. We'll all be watching. This should be good. This should be very interesting. Him and his brother. I wonder how his mom feels about that. Oh, it's real cute, though. Look how cute. Is this the inside? It says the system launches vertically, and both the rocket and capsule are reusable. The boosters land vertically on a concrete pad at the company's facility in Van Horn, Texas, while the capsules land using a set of parachutes. Well, isn't that just cute? That's cute. I mean, that's cute, y'all. Look. See, that's my concern. What if this thing just keeps on going? He better take pictures. Because there's a lot of us who want to see stuff, who need to see some things. But how does it know to turn around and come back? Does it have like GPS on it or something? Well, anyway, I did say Bezos to the moon. And those of you who've been following my channel for a long time know that a lot of times I predict things in my jokes where I'm just joking around, just goofing off, and it comes true. So I said Bezos to the moon. So we shall see, okay? But anyway, so that's a thing that's happening. Should be very interesting to see what happens. All right. So good luck, Jeff. We'll all be watching. In kind of weird news, some guy got swallowed by a humpback whale and spit back out. And apparently he had been in a plane crash in 2001. So, boy, you might need to sit down somewhere, honey. You might. Michael Packard said he was diving when he ended up in the marine giant's mouth for about 30 to 40 seconds off Provincetown, Massachusetts. The Leviathan spat him out, and Mr. Packard was left with nothing more than a suspected dislocated knee. Ouch. Despite his wife's pleas to get another job, he has no plans of giving up a 40-year career diving off Cape Cod. Of course not. They never do. Never. Never going to give it up. Humpback whales can grow to as long as 50 feet and weigh 36 tons. Let's see here. The conditions were excellent when they went out that day. He said he felt this huge bump and everything went dark. He thought he'd be attacked by a great white. Then he felt around and realized there were no teeth. Then he said, oh my God, I'm in a whale's mouth and he's trying to swallow me. This is it. I'm going to die. He said he thought about his family in that time. Then all of a sudden he went up to the surface and just erupted and started shaking his head. I got thrown in the air and landed in the water. I was free and I just floated there. I couldn't believe it, but I'm here to tell the story. Then his friends basically drug him back into the boat. Okay. He must have been nasty. You didn't taste good. Boy, you got some angels watching over you. Listen, people say that, yeah, he's Jonah. People say that when it's your time, and when it's not, it's not. And I really believe that to be true. I really, really do. That everyone has a set time and date. And if it is not that time and date, it's just not, it just won't be you that day. It will not be you that day. Not that day, anyway. Maybe another day, but not that day. But yeah. Yeah, and apparently he survived a deadly plane crash in 2001. So, son, I don't know. You might need to thank somebody. And see, this is the type of guy who dies like tripping over a pencil in his house. You know what I mean? Like you survive a deadly plane crash, you get swallowed by a whale, go home, trip over a pencil, and like hit your head on the kitchen counter and die. That's how it always goes with these types. All right. So we are going to end our show with some kind of heartwarming news. Some of you have requested heartwarming, so we're going to warm the hearts here at the end of the show. It says China's wandering elephants are on the move again. Are they headed home? So y'all, there's a little pack of elephants wandering across China. And they're totally allowing them to do it. They're completely protected. No one is allowed to mess with them or you will get thrown in jail. And apparently they broke out of some sanctuary like a year ago. So they've been wandering China for like a year. And no one can figure out where they're going or if they're ever going to go back home. But officials are like trying to like nudge them in the right direction by doing like food drops, hoping that they'll like go towards the food. And then like they're trying to lead them with these food drops, if that makes sense. They want them to go home, but they will not let anything happen to them, y'all. And I love that so much. I can't even tell you how much I love that. It says China's famed wandering elephants are on the move again, heading southwest, while a male who broke from the herd is still keeping his distance. The group left a wildlife reserve in southwest Yunnan province more than a year ago and has trekked 500 kilometers or 300 miles north to the outskirts of the provincial capital of Kunming. As of Saturday, they were spotted in Shijie Township in the city of Yuxi, more than 8 kilometers or 5 miles southwest of the Kunming suburb they had arrived at last week. The lone male was 10 miles away, still on the outskirts of Kunming. The direction of their travel could be a good sign since authorities are hoping to lead them back to their original home in the, oh honey, Jishuangbana Dai Jishuangbana Dai, there we go, autonomous prefecture southwest of Kunming. Y'all asking for too much now. You're asking for too much. Authorities have been attempting to keep a distance between them and local residents while blocking roads into villages and seeking to lure them away with food drops. Despite that, the herd of 15 have raided farms, strolled down urban streets, and foraged for snacks in villages and even a retirement home. So they're just sleeping right here, you guys. For anyone who's like real sensitive about animals like me, they're just sleeping. They're taking naps. And if you look really close, you can see a little baby right here in the middle. Yeah, but they're taking a nap. So cute. All of the animals are reported to be healthy and no person has been injured in the encounters with them. Officials have issued strict orders not to gawk at them or seek to drive them off using firecrackers or other means. China's roughly 300 wild elephants enjoy the highest level of protected status, on par with the country's unofficial mascot, the panda bear. Okay, so they're not even allowed to stare at them. I love that. I might need to move to China, man. I kind of jive with some of their philosophies and the way they do things. I like that. Don't look at my elephants. Look away. What are you looking at? My elephants? Look at the ground. Don't stare at my elephants. Back away. Back up. But they are totally protected. You're not allowed to mess with them. You're not even allowed to stare at them. You're not even allowed to stare at them. That's so cute. They don't want anybody to mess with them. I love that. Like, where did that happen? Where did that go in America? We used to kind of sort of be like that, and we have let it go completely. Like, we don't care about anything anymore. We would never protect a herd of elephants walking across the country. Never. We would be too concerned about our highways and the elephants are blocking the highway and I can't get to bar class. I can't get to yoga. I can't get to my hot yoga because the stupid elephants are blocking the highway. That's how y'all are. You'd go get your hunting rifles. That's how y'all are. I can't stand you. That's why the rest of the world can't stand you either. But not in China. In China, you can't even look at my elephants. What are you looking at? Look away. Look at the ground. Look at your feet. Yeah, and keep looking at your feet until they've moved on. I love it. I love it. All right, you guys. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up our news stream. It has been news break. It has been fun. It has been a blast. I really enjoy doing these with you guys. And check out some of the latest live streams that we've done here on the channel. Lots of interesting content for you to get caught up on. And what time is it? Let's see. Ooh, it's late. I don't think I'm going to do my other show tonight. I'm sorry, but that's because I started this one late. But the good news is I'll be on tomorrow. So I'll either be on tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, or tomorrow evening. One of those three. So be on the lookout for me on my other channel, A Deeper PTE. Go check it out. And I will be discussing my blood type. I found out my blood type, y'all, and it has changed everything. So we'll be talking about that over there. All right. So take care. You want me to do it? Oh, every time y'all beg me, I end up doing it because I feel bad, but it's going to be late. Well, it's not late for me. Like 11 is not late to me. We'll see. We'll see. We'll put a big old thumbtack in it. We'll see. All right. So take care, you guys. It's been a blast. And I may or may not be on my other channel later on tonight. Okay. Talk to you soon. Okay. I'll think about it. I promise. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.